Much for attending this. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for attending. My name is Diane Darling and I have been with the SBA here in Massachusetts since June of 2020. I joined the SBA as a part of the COVID hire crew. And so I started out doing marketing and outreach to be sure people knew about the services available at the SBA. And now I am migrating to the next area, which is to be sure people know how to repay their loans. And so as Paula was just saying, there is a difference between the, forgivable and all that sort of stuff. So this will be about 20 minutes, a half an hour. And then I can take some questions at the end. We can go off recording at the end. If that's more comfortable, I can flash back to the slides. This is your time. I'm here for the next hour for you all. So I just really want you to feel like you have whatever questions that you need answered can make that happen. Okay. So let me share my screen and then I will do from the beginning. All righty. So again, Diane Darling from the SBA, the Small Business Administration. On occasions, people mistakenly call it association, but it is the administration. We're going to talk about the EIDL loans, also known as the EIDL, and the repayment process. Quick agenda of what I'm going to cover, an overview of the program, loan details, how to make payments, ways to identify the servicing center for you. I will make the assumption that most people here are East Coast, but I will also provide some information for the West Coast. Planning your payment, FAQs, we'll do questions at the end, and then here's a link if anybody prefers this in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. I'm not going to pretend to speak Spanish, so but there's a link there if that's something that you would like to have. Okay, so the quick overview of the EIDL program, as most of you know, is that $390 billion of working capital was provided to almost 4 million small businesses and nonprofits, providing them working capital and in ways to keep their businesses going. It did have a 30-month deferment program, and this was from the first time you got the loan. If you got an additional round of money, it's the first date is where that becomes due, and it's 30 months past that. As somebody mentioned in the beginning before we got started formally, the interest does accrue from the beginning. It's not big interest, but it is money. So, obviously those are some things that people wanted to keep mindful. So when you go look at your bill online, you will see, let's say you got 10,000, it's going to be 10,000 plus the interest. At the peak, the SBA was processing $1 billion and 500,000 applications a day. Prior to COVID, we were processing tens of thousands of loans a day. So it was definitely a significant shift. For just, reference, the average loan size was under 100,000 and 90% of the loans did go to businesses that were 10 or fewer. There obviously is news about other things that happened. And one thing that we really do ask is if you are aware of fraud, that you report it. We can all be angry about people who did something deceptive, or we can report it. So we just ask you to be really aware of that is something that we need your eyes and ears out there. Okay, so just a quick overview of the loan repayment situation. It is a loan, it is not a grant. Unfortunately, and it's certainly way beyond my pay grade to say we can have a change in that. So it is a loan. It does need to be repaid. Part of the reason why we are doing these workshops is to let people know what's involved and what are the consequences of not being sure that you are on top of this. Interest is accrued from the beginning of the loan date that you got your first amount of money. Paula, I'll leave it to you to let people in. I'm going to just kind of ignore that. So just okay, thank you. And that you're responsible to make payments as they go. If you want to do a balloon payment, at the end, that's fine. But we really are encouraging people to instead do things along the line. If you want to pay it all off, there is no penalty for a prepayment. So that is a factor as well. We really want to encourage people to be on top of this. These payments will be reported to credit bureaus. Consequences of not being on top of this would be involving, issues with the IRS down the line. If you were looking for a traditional loan, for a home loan, or, something else, these loans are tied to your social security number. So this is also why it's really important that people understand what is involved. I haven't heard anything formally about social security, but I think at the end of the day, be in touch, be in communication with the service centers if there's anything that you need to discuss with them. The SBA in Massachusetts does not have access to see your loans. So we're here for information. We can't dig into things to, make changes or things along those lines. So just be aware of what we can do and what we cannot do. Okay. So the loan repayment date starts from the first day you got the initial round of funding. If you got a subsequent round of funding, that will be added to the tab, if you will. But it is the first payment is due 30 months. Part of the reason why we are on press to do this right now is December 2022 is the first of the 30 months. So if you got it early in the game, December, then January, and it's just going to get busier and busier, which is why we're trying to get out in front of this situation and have people set up these accounts and be aware of what is involved. This month alone, 1 million people's loans are going to start being due. So we're encouraging people to get in the process sooner than later. So step number 1 is you need to create a CAFS account. This stands for the Capital Access Financial System. So you will be going to sba.gov/pay is one way to create the CAFS account. You do need to have your social security number. I'm assuming everybody has that. Your social security number. So even though this is a business loan, it is tied to your social security number as the business owner. So when you go on there, you will create a CAFS account. You will then say you're not enrolled, and then you will go through that whole process. For anybody on the phone, I will read the phone number and the email in case you want to write a note down. It is 833-572-0502. Hopefully you're not driving while you're writing this down. And you will be getting the slides from Paula. So that will be another way for you to get the information. And it's disaster customer service at SBA. So those are the 2 ways to be in touch with the Disaster Customer Service Center. You should be in touch with them if you feel like you cannot make payments. You should be in touch with them if you have sold the business or there's a name change in the business. I talked to a chamber the other day, and it was their board chair who had created the account. The board chair is no longer involved with the chamber. We're digging up to see, did that board chair use their own social security number, whatever else it is. These are things you do want to reach out and discuss with the customer service center. This is a screenshot of what the Capital Access Financial System portal looks like. So when you log in, you will see your loans on this list. People in Florida who I spoke with the other day, they sadly have multiple loans from hurricanes. So, if you have more than one loan from the SBA, you will see multiple loans here. It will tell you the loan type. It will tell you the status of it, and then you click the button to make a payment. If you have multiple SBA loans, they cannot be combined. So you will need to make separate payments, but this is kind of the mothership, the portal, the dashboard where you can see those digits and those numbers. This is another place I want to encourage you to take a look here over to the left where it says loan info, and there's a toggle for the borrower. So some people have said, oh, I can't find it. They need to hit the little toggles so you can see where in that part is something that you will want to be able to access. So you'll see the ID number, again, the status of the loan, and where things are on these different screenshots. We're trying to show you to let you know what this will look like. This is another screenshot where it takes you ultimately over to the pay portion. So when you are in the Capital Access System, it will hit pay and it will take you to this page. The ideal thing is that you set up an auto pay so that every month at the same date, the payment is due. If that payment starts on a weekend, you may want to have it set up 48 hours earlier, so you're sure that, you know, the deadline is matched. One person on one of these sessions said that they had made payments, they put checks in the mail, and there was no evidence that they had made payments. We're following up on that one to see what happens. I will say that if you are going to pay by check, please take your check to the post office. Do not put the checks in mailboxes on the corner. There are people who are diving into these mailboxes. There's possibilities of checks being taken and rewritten. So it is just best for you to take it to the post office. If you were going to write a check, preferences, you do this electronically. And I know there's, you know, people have some queasy feelings about that. I appreciate that. This will be easier for you and easier for everybody else to keep track of it. As I mentioned, there are 2 service centers in the United States who are providing customer service. Birmingham is the one that's handling the East Coast, and El Paso is handling the West Coast, is the rough division. So I will give you contact information for both of those. The first one is the Birmingham Customer Service Center. And this is where, if you have questions about your loan, is the top part. So if you have say, yes, I have a loan, I have a question about setting up my payments, I want to see if I can pay it all off, I've moved, something along those lines, that is the top portion of why you would be in touch with the Disaster Customer Service Center at that top. If you've had a name change, if you've had a change in ownership, if there is something to do with collateral, you want to reach out to the bottom part, and that is the Birmingham Customer Service Center for those changes. So those are the 2 areas that you will want to be have those contact centers. If you're from the West Coast, the top part, the questions is the same. The bottom is a different phone number. I'm going to assume that unlikely anybody here is on the West Coast. And if we get to that point during Q&A, we can discuss that. Payments concerns. There have been questions about hardship or things along those lines. Again, please reach out to the Customer Service Center. Have your list of documents. When you start this, you will want to have your loan number available. It is most likely in your email inbox. So what happened is that in order for you to get the money, you had emails that were sent to you. You signed those documents, and that probably is sitting in your inbox somewhere from 30 months ago. So you might want to just do a search in your inbox under EIDL, SBA.gov. Those are some places for you to look, but be sure that you are have that loan number, your social security number, your company EID. These are things that EIN number. These are things that you're going to want to have in order for you to be able to be in touch with them and have them answer your questions. One thing SBA is known for is having resource partners such as the amazing Paula. So one of the things that we encourage you to do, paying your loan back or not, is to be in touch with a business counselor. These are people who can help you with business plans, financial, cash flow projections. If people are shutting down their businesses, how to shut down a business, what are some different ways to do it, and things along those lines. So these are the 5 resource partners that the SBA funds. We do the SBDC, such as Paula, there's SCORE, there's the Women's Business Counselor Centers, the Veterans, and Community Navigators. In order for you to get information on any of those, you can go to sba.gov/local-assistance. And as I mentioned, these are good people just to have, no matter how good your business is doing or how it's not doing. So get yourself a business counselor sooner than later. Again, as more and more people get into this program and understand the repayment issues, those people are going to get more and more tapped out. A couple of FAQs. Will the loans be forgiven? Sadly, the SBA does not have the authority to forgive federal debt. So unless something happens, and Joe Biden and I have never had coffee, so I have no inside information for you on that one. Yes, you will be needing to pay this back. You're looking to sell the business, close the business. What should you do? Contact the servicing center in your area. Have your loan number available. You have a traditional SBA disaster loan, such as a hurricane or something along those lines, and a COVID. Can you combine them? No, they are separate. What if you can't keep this month's payment? Contact the local servicing center. Can't find your documents? Contact the servicing center. And if you have issues setting up CAS accounts, there are the phone numbers and emails at the bottom for you to go ahead and get those all set up. So I will go off of my screen share now, and